Hey, thanks for joining me. I want to show you a really fun back-to-school cupcake. I call it the Bookworm Cupcake. This guy's really smart. He likes to read. We're going to make all our little pieces first, and then we're going to go through and assemble it. So let me show you how to make the worm first. You need a couple of days to let things dry, at least one day overnight, but a couple days if you want to make sure. So all I'm going to do is take a little bit of green fondant. You can add a little bit of Tylose to it if you'd like to make it a little bit more firm, but I'm just kind of rolling out a snake. And then what I want to do is kind of give him a little bit of shape. Now you're going to think about how he's coming up out of the cupcake. And it doesn't matter if that bottom end is tapered a little bit, but you want to make sure his head curves a little bit. All I'm going to do is insert a toothpick, and that's what's going to secure him into the cupcake. Now, just make sure he keeps his shape. If I were going to set him down here on a flat surface to dry, he's going to have one flat side, and I don't want that. So what I'd like to do is once I've formed him, is just put him on a paper towel, or even a little sponge would help. That keeps it from flattening on that bottom side. Okay, and if you want to go with even a little bit more detail, what you can do is on the back side, give a couple of little notches there, and that kind of gives a little bit of a worm texture, like he's got a segmentation to him. So we're going to let him dry. We're also going to have some books. Now I made these ahead of time, but these are super easy. All I did was a little square of white fondant, and I rolled out a thin strip of different colors, and then I write on them with different book titles on the front, and you can do it on the side as well. And I'm going to let those dry as well. Now, the only other piece that I let dry, and this is optional, but I think it kind of adds to this apple effect, is a stem. And I just took a little bit of brown fondant, and you want to roll that thin, but leave one end thick. And then you can take the side of a little spatula or a knife, and then just kind of give like a little X on the top to give it the appearance of an apple stem. And again, we'll let that dry and we'll come back to those when we're ready to decorate. Okay, so we've given all our pieces time to dry. Now we're ready to assemble the cupcake. Whatever flavor that you like, I'm just going to take a white buttercream, and it's real important that it be white and not red. I know it looks like a red cupcake, but we're going to take a little bite out of it, and we want to make sure that the white of the apple shows. Now usually I would swirl the icing on here, but I'm going to start an outside swirl just to make sure I'm reaching the ends, and then from there I'm just going to kind of fill from the inside. And I'm not taking my tip out. I just kind of want it rounded. I don't want a swirl effect to it. So we have a nice rounded shape for our apple, and I need to coat it in the red now. So what I've got here is a blend of sanding sugar and sugar crystals. The difference in the two is the sanding sugar has a finer grain, the sugar crystals has a larger grain. So I usually like to blend them for this purpose because the larger grain has a little bit of a blingier effect, catches the light a little bit more, but the sanding sugar gives a little bit better coverage. So here I just like to blend them like half and half. All I'm going to do is put them in a bowl together, and I can almost push a little bit more to kind of help shape my cupcake and roll it around in there. And I can kind of help shape that icing. I even kind of touch down the top a little bit so it's not quite so peaked looking. So now we have a nice red apple, and to make sure that we can take that bite out of it, I'm just going to use a spoon. I wouldn't actually suggest taking a bite out of it, but this gives a nice little effect there. And then what I can do to kind of make it look like apple seeds is go in there with my edible pen and put two little dashes, and it kind of looks like apple seeds. So that's a fun little touch. Now let me show you some of the finishing pieces. All that we've done, I've got some worms here that have dried already, and you can tell that I put them up on a styrofoam block to help decorate them with the eyes. So what I've got here are some pre-made icing eyes. We do sell those at Sweetwise. All you need to do, I'm going to take some clear piping gel and just a little dot on the back. And this is why I like to put them up in this little styrofoam block. It kind of helps to decorate them a little bit better. And the eyes are so funny that sometimes they're facing off in different directions, which makes them look, like they're thinking hard, or they're just kind of silly. And each worm, you can tell, kind of takes on its own personality. So I'm going to take my writing pen again. Again, this is a food color pen, so it's absolutely just safe to put on these. And I'm just going to take one of these out, and I'm going to finish off his glasses. So I'm going to give him a little bar there between the eyes, and then I'm going to give him some little pieces here, as if it were going over his ears, which of course are non-existent. So if he's a happy worm, you can give him a little bit of a smile. That's fun. Okay, so all you want to do is go ahead and stick him in the cupcake. You can tell what great shape it's taken. See, this is the one that we just made, and he's still a little bit too soft to keep shape. So this is why you want to let it dry for a couple days. But he has a great shape to him. He's going to stay up nice and tall. And then you can stick your stem in there. This one is dried. Okay. And then you can add one of your books if you'd like. We'll add a history book. Okay, now this one you really need to stick down in there so it sticks to the buttercream. That's coated in the sugar, so it's not going to stick as well, so you need to make sure you dip down in there to grab that buttercream. Okay, last touch. This is a really fun one. I'm going to put out a little bit of powdered sugar. I always love these plunger cutters that we use. This one is the leaf cutter, and it's such easy work, and it really adds a nice finishing touch to it. So you just want to roll this out fairly thin. You'll notice every time I roll it, every couple turns, I pick it up and move it. That way you make sure it's not sticking to your board. Okay, keep moving it. Now that looks nice and thin. Pick it up one more time to make sure it's not going to stick before I cut it. Now what I'm going to do is you'll notice I'm going to cut first, and then later I'm going to push the button to plunge it. So you want to make sure you get your outer shape first, and then I'm going to press down so that I can emboss my leaf, and you can pick it up with your little spatula, and then you can give it a little bit of shape in your hand. And I'm going to take another little toothpick here to make sure it's going to stick, because like I said, the sanding sugar on here is going to kind of keep it from sticking. So I'm going to use my little toothpick and kind of push down on that so that it grabs into the buttercream, and make sure that leaf has a little bit of shape so it's cute. So that's my Bookworm Cupcake. I think he's ready for a book fair or back to school, any kind of a school occasion like that. I think he's got a lot of character to him. He's a lot of fun. I hope you give it a try, and I hope you have fun with it. Thanks for watching.